welcome to my podcast. And today we're going to talk about responsible AI. And my objective is to tell you guys what runs in my mind when somebody starts talking about responsible AI, right? What I personally feel is we talk a lot about it, but when we do our AI development, we generally don't take it into consideration much. That's all right. That's all right. Let's talk about some of the principles that we got. And if we know the principle, then probably we will find out ways to implement them in our development cycle, right? So the first one for me is fairness. So AI system should treat every people fairly. And I shouldn't call it every people, I should call it people and the ecosystem, right? So it should treat all the people and the ecosystem around the people fairly. We live in a world which is very, very biased in many ways, very, very unfair in many ways. In recent past, we came across many, many stories in financial industries, employment, hiring, justice, where AI systems either withheld or allocate opportunities, resources, and that impacted adversely to the case or to the scenario, right? you know um, that's one of the thing. We are very puzzled, how to make this AI system more fair. And on top of that, just to add complexity on top of it, there is always a critical component called social demography. For an example, let's say you are building an AI solution for your customer or for a community or for the entire world. You are building an AI solution. And when you are building this AI solution, you have your customer in mind, right? And out of the customer base, there might be minority and majority demography or cultural aspects or simply different race of people, right? So you have set of minority people, set of majority people, and there is no way you can quantify for your AI or machine learning model to take parameters based upon the demography or cultural aspect, right? So that I call as a socio-technical problem, right? And if we are really interested to solve the socio-technical challenge for fairness, the only thing that comes to my mind is to have a diverse set of people in your development cycle, in your testing cycle, in your deployment cycle, right? So you cannot just have a couple of people in your AI team who develop the product, test the product, and push it in the market. That's gonna be disaster, right? So make sure you have a diverse set of people. I'm not talking about 100 people working on the same project, but a diverse set of people who should be involved in the development cycle, and a diverse set of people also be testing it, and another set of people who will really implement it in the market, right? So in that way, at least we can fairly roll out our AI system in the market, right? That's fairness, number one. Number two is reliability and safety. AI system should perform reliable and should be safe for people, the world, or the ecosystem, right? So, a system should be consistent to our design, values, and the principle, right? The solution that we are building, that should not harm other people or anybody in our ecosystem. In case AI system makes a mistake, right? The people who owns it, the people who develop it, should have done the risk assessment before rolling it out to the market, right? So there is a solution that is AI. You were putting a model behind it. I'm sure, 100% sure, there are areas where it will do the mistakes, right? you might not have thought every possible combination in the world, right? But the point is, um, you should be ready with a risk assessment, and you should be ready with a contingency plan when the things goes wrong, what to do, right? And how to do it. And moreover, just to be 100% transparent and taking this reliability and safety into concern, I think the owners of this AI solution should also let the users or the end users know about the limitations of the solutions, about the risk of the solution, and how to tackle that, how to deal with that, and whom to reach out in case those kind of situation comes forward, right? Think about a self-driving car, right? Or think about AI in the healthcare, which is helping the doctors to diagnose the problem. I'm giving this two example. One is a self-driving car in the physical world, and another is in the healthcare, in the digital world, right? It really doesn't matter whether it's a physical implementation or a digital implementation. Both of my example have tremendous opportunity for the future, but at the same time, if it does a mistake, it comes with a huge risk, right? So the user of these services should be aware of what are the limitations, what are the risks, and if those risks come forward, then how to handle those kind of situation, right? And it should be not only on the mind of the business people, it should be also on the mind of the developer people, because developer people are the set of people who are going to build it, right? So it's a responsibility for both developer and business guys, or technical and the business guys, right? The third pillar that I will talk today is privacy and security, which is really, really close to my heart. It's been 10 years I'm working with data and AI. And I started my career 2010 with big data, right? So that's where I started my career, and so my whole life I'm working with data. You know, when we are building this AI solution, the core of this AI solution is actually data, right? If you don't have the right data, you have a stupid model at the end, or even a worse, more than you think, that worse product at the end, right? So when you're dealing with these data sets, you have to think about privacy and security, because privacy is a fundamental rights for everybody, not only people and the ecosystem around the people, right? So when you have a lot of data, a lot of data sets involved in building the machine learning model, you are adding more layer of complexity because of this privacy, security stuff. You are adding more level of complexity, and on top of that, the people who are building this kind of solution, must understand where exactly they are getting this data from. Can they trust this data? What is the data lineage here? And is it a user submitted data or external data sets? Is this data going to change over the period of time? And all the sort of things you have to understand as an AI solution developer and take necessary action. And in many cases, the third-party services which might try to access your data without the user permission, or even a set of hackers are trying to get a hold of your data sets, right? So right now we are having AI solution in cell phone, in laptop, in everywhere, right? So one of the way to handle this kind of stuff is to not let the data go out of your device. So let's say you are holding a cell phone and you are running AI into it. Instead of sending the data to the cloud or outside of your device and do the work, can I run this model inside your cell phone so that your data is not going out, no other people are getting access, or your data is not getting hacked, right? So that's one way of thinking, how can we run AI into the edge to reduce this privacy and security challenges that we are facing today, right? There are cases that we are seeing that the data that you are storing is changing over the period of time. There might be some outside sources are trying to change the data so that they can change or alter the outcome of the AI system, right? So in that case, things like anomaly detection, technologies can really be helpful to predict if there is an anomaly in the data sets, if something is going wrong, not according to the plan, and stuff like that. So if you are working with a lot of data sets and building AI solution, maybe one of the things to check out is anomaly detection, and make sure you are running anomaly detection on your data sets every now and then, to make sure you have the right data to build the solution, right? And the fourth pillar for today is inclusiveness, which is really close to my heart, right? So AI systems should empower everyone and engage every people, right? That's the key tagline for inclusiveness for AI. We have to make sure nobody is left behind. If you're building an AI solution for your customer, I'm sure your customer base is comprised of minority community as well as the majority communities, right? Now, the point is, if you can figure out how to design your solution for that 1, 2, 3% of the minority community, and successfully execute it, I'm sure you will figure out how to deal with those 97% of your majority community without any problem. Now, that's what I want to call inclusiveness, right? Just because you want to create a solution, you just cannot focus on 97% of your majority community and ignore the 3%. Rather, it's the other way around, right? I think you understand what I mean, right? So at Microsoft, we also take it very seriously. Think about our solutions like Seeing AI. It is not only for visually challenged people. I also use it a lot of time. Think about the solution like speech to text, text to speech, translation. These are some of the key things that you can see Microsoft is actively working on towards the inclusiveness. Think about me. I'm an Indian origin, I'm a Swedish citizen, and I'm staying in Zurich, working with my partners and customers who speak 3 different languages: German, Italian, and French. And of course, I travel a lot for conference meetings across the world. And there is a lot of time, I don't understand the language. If I'm traveling in a train, I don't understand what is written in the train station, the directions. In Zurich, I get a lot of documents which is written in German. I have no idea what's written in them, right? And thanks to solutions, AI solutions like translation services and stuff like that, I am able to understand what is written in the document. I'm able to understand, what should I do, or how can I navigate my ways out in a foreign country and stuff like that. That's exactly what I call as inclusiveness. The fifth one in the pillar is transparency. I have seen in many cases we're writing codes and we have no idea how the AI is making the predictions. It's kind of a black box many times, but those days are gone. We have to make sure that what we are building, we are able to understand it. If we need to call AI our friend, we have to make sure we understand it. We have to make sure the developer, tester, debugger, business guys, your end customer perfectly understand what is this AI solution, how it is taking their decisions and stuff like that, right? People who create this AI solution should be able to explain why and how they are building the solution. At the same time, people who are using it should be able to understand the predictions they are getting, why they are getting those kind of predictions, right? If we cannot bring this kind of transparency to the system, very soon it will be full of biases and it will be like a black box, and that's not the way how we want to build this AI system, right? And the last one for today is accountability. And people should be held accountable for the AI system that they design and put it in the hand of the end user, right? Despite all the complexity, despite all the fantastic outcome that AI brings to our businesses, to our society, still it is quite unpredictable. And we are still accountable for how it impacts the whole world, right? It is not to blame someone when something goes wrong. I don't mean that as accountability. Rather, it should be used as a structure where we communicate our values, our principles, and how we take back to our development cycle to build the stuff. Not only in the development cycle, rather, how we take it in our development cycle, how we sell these solutions, how we advocate about them. So we have to be very careful that we keep ourselves accountable for the end-to-end journey of this AI solutions and the systems, right? Think about face recognition. It definitely has a huge opportunity in front of us, but in the wrong hand, it could be disaster, right? If we don't take our principles and values along with the development cycle and how we sell it, how we advocate about it, then it will be super disaster, right? And somebody and some system has to be accountable if it goes wrong, right? And they should be also responsible for how to integrate those principles and values to the system so that it is not doing any harm to the humanity or the entire ecosystem. That's all for today. Let me know down in the comment, what do you think? If you have more questions or if you are facing such scenarios in your businesses, and I'll be happy to do brainstorm with you or even talk to you and see if I can be of any help in your AI system building processes. Right? Thank you very much. See you next time with another episode.